Welcome to the Ordinary Doula Podcast with Angie Rozier, hosted by Birth Learning, where we help prepare folks for labor and birth with expertise coming from 20 years of experience in a busy doula practice, helping thousands of people prepare for labor, providing essential knowledge and tools for positive and empowering birth experiences.
Hello and welcome to the Ordinary Doula Podcast. My name is Angie Rozier. I'm your host and we're glad to have you with us here today. We have a special guest named Kimberlee, and Kimberlee is going to share her story with us. Kimberlee is a mom of 4, and her journey, as you will hear, has some pretty interesting twists and turns in it. And one thing I love about Kimberlee's story is that it's a story of advocacy. You will see kind of how her journey, some of the choices she made and how they shifted for her. But I love how Kimberlee demonstrates how she has to advocate for her and for her baby all the way through her story. So let's take a moment to meet Kimberlee.
I'm Kimberlee Williams. My husband and I moved here about a year ago, and we had our 3 daughters in Arizona, and we unexpectedly, after trying for a year, got pregnant here in Utah, only like a week after moving here. There's something in the water here in Utah.
Guess so.
That's why there's so many kids. But my husband's a pediatric dentist, and we have 4 kids. We have the 3 girls that were born in Arizona, and then Houston that was born here. My other 3 were super easy pregnancies, super easy deliveries, like my water breaks, and they're here within 15 minutes, kind of quick. And so we decided that after having them in Arizona and always using an OB and being in the hospital, my husband was in dental school while we were doing that. So we were always on Medicaid. So we didn't have to worry about the bill. And so being here, we're new to learning about the insurance side of things and having to pay for the hospital stay and all of that. So we decided that we would do it more natural with Houston. And since the others were so easy, we figured, we could just do a home birth and it should be just as easy. And so then we found a midwife, and we decided that we'd just use a midwife this time and just do the natural birth.
And then things went differently, it sounds like.
Very different.
Tell me when your journey changed.
Okay. So we went down for a trip, like a weekend trip to Bryce Canyon and Brian Head. And when we got back, we did a lot of hiking. And when we got back, it was like the next day, I got a really bad headache. And I had migraines before, and the headache just got worse and worse. And it turned into a migraine, and it was the worst migraine I've ever had. I've never had a migraine where I was throwing up. And this one was bad. I was throwing up and I couldn't have any light, and I honestly probably got really dehydrated. I thought that's all it was I was just dehydrated.
How far along were you in your pregnancy at this point?
I was about 6 months pregnant.
Okay.
And I had, so I had texted my midwife, and because I had done ChatGPT and done all of the research to try to figure out what was wrong with me before I reached out to her. And I reached out to her and I told her, I texted her, I'm pretty sure I have preeclampsia. And she said, well, what's your blood pressure? and I didn't have a blood pressure cuff at the time. So my husband left with the kids and went and got a blood pressure cuff from her, since she lives just 15 minutes away, and brought it back and took my blood pressure, and probably have all of the notes. But my blood pressure was pretty high. It was pretty high.
And
And
this is not something normal for you, right?
no,
Like, I don't know
no,
how old you are,
normally,
but you look like a young, healthy person.
oh, I I had been in my best shape of my life and the best
Interesting.
health of my life right before getting pregnant with Houston.
Mm.
And I normally in the hospital after I have my babies, the nurses will run in thinking I'm dead because they are like, well, are you okay? Like your blood pressure's like 60 over 30. It's really low. I normally have really low blood pressure. So to
Well,
have really high was way out of the norm. Um, and I want to say it was like 160, I think, over something. I don't know. It was in the 160s. And so my midwife said, "Oh, well, what did you eat the day before?" Well, we went hiking, so we had Subway, and so she said, "Oh, it's the nitrates and stuff from the Subway sandwiches is probably what caused my migraine." And she gave me some magnesium to take, and said, "Oh, the magnesium will help," and it did help. I had gone in for my 20-week ultrasound as well, just before that. And in that ultrasound, we saw that Houston was 2 weeks behind what he should have been. So I was at my 20-week ultrasound, and then they pushed my due date back 2 weeks and said that I was only 18 weeks along, and because of his size. And then also my ultrasound tech mentioned that he had an empty stomach as well. He goes, "That's something we should keep an eye on. I'll talk to your midwife about it, and we'll just keep an eye on that." Um, but we didn't schedule any more appointments or anything like that. They didn't say that was needed. So I'm like, I don't know how they would keep an eye on it without an ultrasound. But then that was in October of the whole migraine thing. And I had been taking the magnesium, and the migraines did get better. And then 3 weeks later, I had noticed that Houston wasn't kicking as much. He had been kicking a whole lot, and I noticed he wasn't kicking as much. And I think it was a Friday. I noticed he wasn't kicking as much. And then Saturday rolled around and Sunday rolled around. I still didn't feel him kicking very much. And then Monday, I was like, I'm going to do everything I can to get him to kick and just sit there for an hour and see if I can get him to kick. So I dropped the kids off to school on Monday morning and went in. I got some caffeine and I got a really sugary drink to try to get him to kick. And I used ice packs and tried to put them on my stomach and tried to feel him kick. And I sat there for an hour laying on the couch as still as I could, and I didn't feel anything. I felt one maybe like rotation of like a shoulder or something. It was down pretty low, and it was just very slight. And I was like, something's wrong. And sorry, I didn't think I'd get emotional.
it's
I've
okay.
said the story so many times. I had decided that morning I was going to make another ultrasound appointment with the ultrasound tech. And the earliest he could get me in was 5 o'clock that night. So I made that appointment, and I told my midwife that I had made the appointment, and she goes, "Well, I don't normally work on Mondays, but how about you come over to my house and we'll look at you and we'll check you out and stuff. And I said, okay. So I went to her house at like 10 a.m. and she used the Doppler, and it took a while, but we found the heartbeat. And she goes, oh, that's great. We hear a heartbeat. He's doing so good. And that sorry.
It's okay.
She said that he's doing so good. There shouldn't be really anything to worry about, but go ahead and keep that ultrasound appointment that you made already, and just to be sure and check on everything. She didn't check my blood pressure or anything. She didn't check really anything else. And she just told me that he was doing good. And I was like, okay, that made me feel a little bit better. And I kind of hate that. I hate that like reassured me, because it was such a false reassurance. And so then I waited all day. I picked the kids up from school. I took them over to my husband's office, dropped them off, and went straight up to my appointment at 5 o'clock. And I drove all the way up to Holiday for it. I got there and we look at the ultrasound, and I think I was just bawling because I knew something was wrong.
Just that feeling persisted.
Yes. And I had felt it for weeks, and I had been talking to friends for weeks too. I'm like, I don't want to go into the hospital, because before with my other girls, I would go into the hospital and they'd be like, oh, you're fine, go home. Oh, you're fine, go home. And so I didn't want to, especially since we didn't have the best insurance either at the time. And we were expecting it to just be an easy delivery. I didn't want to go into the hospital and have a huge bill for no reason.
Say, just go home.
Sent away again.
Right.
And so I had talked to all my friends, and they're like, you should just go to the hospital. You should just go to the hospital. And I should have. That probably would have been much better had I have just gone to the hospital. But in the ultrasound, the tech looked at it, and he mentioned again that Houston's stomach was empty. And I said, his stomach's empty? You told me that last time at 20 weeks, at my 20-week appointment. And you moved his due date back 2 weeks because of his size. Which is interesting, because in my other ultrasounds with all my other babies, my doctor always told me, oh, my baby's going to be like 8 pounds. And they were always like 6 or under. So they were always really small. So to hear that he was small already was scary for me. And then hearing it again at that ultrasound, he said he could get a heartbeat, but he wasn't seeing any movement of Houston at all. And that he wasn't. Sorry.
It's okay, Kimberlee. It's hard stuff.
He said that he wasn't swallowing anything either. And he couldn't see any swallowing movement at all. And that by this far along, he should be doing all of that. And he said normally when something like that happens, it means that their esophagus, I guess, isn't connected to their stomach, or whatever that portion is right there. Right. Yeah. That it's not connected, and so they're not able to swallow. And he said to go to wherever my husband was. My husband was at Texas Roadhouse with the girls, just getting them out. And
so you're by yourself during this.
So I was by myself.
Oh, that's hard. Wow.
And so I drove to Texas Roadhouse to meet him. And the ultrasound tech said he would talk to my midwife, and that they would let me know if I needed to go into the hospital. I wish he had just told me, just go straight to the nearest hospital. Although that would have been so far away and probably even harder. But So I got to Texas Roadhouse, and as I was pulling in, my midwife called and said, "Are you with your husband yet?" And I said, "No, I'm not." And she goes, "Okay, I need you to park your car as soon as you can." And I parked, and I said, "Okay, I'm ready. What is it?" Because the whole drive down, I had talked to my husband. I had called him, and I told him kind of what was going on. And he did some really quick little research, and his research that he was finding was that the esophagus not connected is normally a symptom of Down syndrome. And so that's what we were expecting, is that our baby was going to be Down syndrome. And that I don't know if I could handle that. That would be so hard. I know they're little freaking angels and they're adorable, but
It's not what you were expecting, though.
No, being a parent to one would be very difficult, very challenging. And so that's what we were expecting. And my midwife calls and says something is very wrong with him. Still no one has taken my blood pressure at all. They just checked on the baby. And
so there's something going on with you and something going on with the baby.
Yes. And she said I needed to go to the nearest hospital. And so we went to Lone Peak, and I just told her, I said, I need one that can take my insurance because I don't have the best insurance, but I don't know if I can afford all of that. That's expensive. And so we went into the hospital, and
that very night, right?
That night. Yep. I headed straight to the hospital, and Austin, my husband, he took the girls back home, and we're in Saratoga Springs. So we were up in South Jordan, and I went over to Lone Peak, and he went all the way back to Saratoga Springs with the girls. So it was a little bit of a drive for him, and then a drive for him to find someone to watch the kids for us for a minute, and to get back to the hospital to me.
So you're alone again.
So I was alone again.
Oh, Kimberlee. What a journey. Wow. That's tough.
And then so I get to the hospital. My midwife meets me there, and we go up to the front desk, and she tells the front desk lady she doesn't have any of my records at all. For the whole time that I had been seeing her, she had no records. And
because she didn't have them with her, or she didn't keep
any? She didn't have them with her.
Okay.
But also she didn't have any records. She didn't record anything that
didn't come prepared for this.
No. Wow. No. She didn't record anything even in the little, what's it called?
Your prenatal visits
my prenatal visits. She's got like a little profile for me or whatever on her little site.
Yeah.
And there's very few notes.
Interesting.
They took me back into a room, and got me examined and stuff. And within 10 minutes, there was another doctor. He was wonderful. He came in, and he, I'm trying to remember his name, Dr. Nielsen? I don't know, but he was awesome. They took my blood pressure and all of the things, and he told me, with my midwife there, he was not very happy with her, and very obviously not happy with her.
What was your blood pressure when they took it out of the hospital?
It was
it high?
I finished it. It was in the 200s.
No way. Wow.
I want to say he said it was 220 or 236 or something like that.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
It was way high. And he said, had I not have come in when I came in, give it 2 more hours, and I would have been seizing and had a stroke, or one or the other or both, and I wouldn't have been able to make it, and Houston definitely wouldn't have made it.
Wow. So this whole
And
time you'd had high blood pressure, but it wasn't being checked on.
no, for
Is
3
that what was
weeks,
causing Houston's problems?
that's what was causing Houston's problems too. He
Wow.
had inner uterine growth restriction,
Yep.
and
Okay, sorry. How far along were you at this point? How many weeks?
I was 33 weeks in a day.
So you've been dealing with this for several weeks.
For
Wow.
at least 3 weeks. Probably more. I just didn't know until I had that bad migraine. And I wish that when I had told my midwife about the migraine, and like I literally said, I'm pretty sure I have preeclampsia, like she would have taken it more serious. Like I'm pretty crunchy. I like the
You were gonna do a home birth.
yeah, I
That's pretty
like the
crunchy.
more natural things too. But there is a time and a place for medicine, and there is a time and a place for like more of the Western medicine stuff.
Right.
And my case was definitely the time to use it.
So Austin, is he with you yet at this point?
No,
He's still
no,
not
he's
there.
not. He was still taking the girls back home. And they told me that I needed to have an emergency C-section, and that a C-section was my worst nightmare. Like my doctor in Arizona, he had prevented me from having a C-section with my other 3 girls, with all 3 of them. And I trust that man with everything. He was wonderful. But it was so scary to have even thought of a C-section. And then I get in there and they're prepping me within 10 minutes, and I went right back for an emergency C-section. I asked the doctor, is there any way, like my friend, she has really early babies as well, and they'll give her like the Pitocin, and they'll, let her do the labor naturally, and they'll dilate her and everything. She has really small babies, but it's because she's had so many like stillborns. And he said no. He said, with how bad my blood pressure is already, that is not an option. Had we have watched the blood pressure better, or had we have
Managed it
or come in earlier or whatever, that would be an option. But it's too far along and it's too risky, and one or both of us is probably going to die if we do that. And I said, okay, well, save my baby. I have 3 other babies, so I need to still be alive too. And so they prepped me and went right into an emergency C-section. And I felt so numb.
you're just going through the motions, probably, right?
Yes, just going through the motions. I think I was probably in shock.
Yeah. Huge surprises there, yeah.
Yeah, I just like stood there and like walked where they told me to walk, but they like threw my hands up and they like undressed me, and then they just like laid me on the table and they strapped me down, and the anesthesiologist, he came over and he put the mask on my face for the I don't know, the sleepy stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember ripping it off, and I said, I'm gonna be asleep before they start cutting, right? And I was just terrified. Like I could feel them drawing where they were gonna be cutting, and it was just so scary. And then I remember the next thing I remember waking up, and I was in a room. I didn't have my baby. They had already put him in the NICU, and I didn't get to see him for a day or 2 before I got to actually go in and see him.
Wow. So when did Austin come? When did he join?
Austin came. He got there shortly after Houston was born.
Okay.
But they wouldn't let him in the operating room or anything. either. And so I think he met Houston up
Probably,
in the
yeah,
NICU.
met him in the NICU. Wow.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I had asked my midwife. I've heard so many horror stories about switched babies at birth and stuff like that, and my husband's grandpa was actually switched at birth as well.
Wow.
And so with his own cousin, so they're still family, but like
Yeah.
the grandma switched them. So
Interesting.
she didn't want a redhead. I guess something like that. Hi, you're so cute.
Cute Houston.
He's just oohing at me.
Looking at you.
Love you. But yeah, so I was worried about the switched at birth thing, and I asked my midwife, will you please stay with me until I have Houston, and then stay with Houston until Austin can get there. So someone I know is with my baby the whole time. As soon as I went into as soon as they were taking me back, she left. And I haven't seen her since.
Interesting.
And she just left. And
it's very frustrating and disappointing.
It was very frustrating, very
Wow.
disappointing. I thought, since we knew similar people and we had like friends that were the same people, that I would have been treated better, but I guess not.
Interesting.
But the hospital treated me amazing. That
Cool.
hospital, if I were to have another baby, I don't know if I will ever, but if I ever have another baby, that's the hospital I would deliver at for sure.
Yeah,
they
that's a good one.
Wonderful.
Good.
They made things very easy for me, as easy as you can.
Right, in that situation.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. But Houston, he was born at like 2 pounds, 10 ounces.
Wow, much smaller than somebody that age, right?
Yes, much smaller. He was the size of a 27-week-old.
Wow. Yeah, he was 33.
And yeah, he was 33. They say he was like the size of 12 weeks early, but only 6 weeks early because of the intrauterine growth restriction.
He hadn't been growing.
And yep, he hadn't been growing. And he's just a miracle baby.
Yeah, he is.
He's just a miracle baby.
Wow.
For sure.
So how long was he in the NICU?
He was in the NICU for 6 weeks.
And you guys...
5.5 to 6 weeks or so.
Okay. And tell me about that. How is you have 3 kids at home to take care of. You have a little baby in the NICU for the first time. And tell me how that was for you and for your family.
Well, we don't have any family here in Utah. The family we have lives like 45 minutes to an hour away or more. And so we just got really lucky, honestly, with the neighborhood that we live in and all of our neighbors. Austin said he came home after helping me in Houston and like meeting Houston. He came home. Someone was watching. He had gotten some neighbors to watch the kids for us and help them like go to bed and stuff. And that night that I was in the hospital, we had a group of probably 5 to 10 people just from our ward in our neighborhood that came over and they cleaned our entire house.
Wow.
Our house was pretty messy. It wasn't ready to have a baby yet.
That wasn't the plan that week.
It was not the plan. And when we had moved in here, we had started a bunch of projects because we weren't expecting for me to get pregnant right away.
Right.
We had like half-done projects and everything because everything moved slower once I got pregnant. And Austin said he walked in the door and he saw how clean the whole house was. And he just fell to his knees and he just started crying. Because we really did have some angels that were just watching over us.
Wow.
Hi, baby.
You're gonna make me cry too, Kimberlee.
Sorry.
It's okay.
We really just got really lucky. I think had we have moved somewhere else, it would have been harder.
Yeah. Wow. So you had a little village around you that kind of came
We
and supported
really
you.
did. We really
Wow.
did. I had one of our neighbors, she would take the kids to school for me, and then another, she's not even a neighbor, she lives in a different neighborhood, but one of my daughter's friends' moms would pick them up from school and drop them off to school, or drop them off to home after school. And then for my youngest daughter anyway, she was in preschool, and so I had to cancel preschool for her for the 2-ish months that he was in the NICU. And so until he came home, I had to cancel preschool, but then I had to have someone watching her so I could go and see Houston and try to feed him. And I felt like if I could just nurse him at least once a day, that would help him, one, to bond with me, and then two, so he could get out of the NICU faster.
Right.
And sorry, he's fussing a little.
Yeah.
And
It's being very quiet. I'm impressed.
he's pretty quiet most of the time.
Yeah. Hi, cute buddy.
Hey, Houston.
So cute.
But I had one friend that I didn't even know her before this, and she would watch Carly, my youngest daughter, for me every day, while I would go and feed Houston at the hospital. And I had, for the first little bit, I couldn't even drive because they had me on so much magnesium and so many drugs that I couldn't drive yet, for the first 2 weeks. And I had, Austin had gotten some time off, and my parents had just driven up here last minute because he was born November 25th. So it was like the day before Thanksgiving, and
Wow.
or maybe 2 days before Thanksgiving, and we planned on driving down to Arizona the next day.
Wow.
Actually. And my parents, as soon as we told them I was in the hospital and I was having Houston, they were like, wait, it's too early. And they just drove up.
Came up to you. Wow.
Yeah, they just
So
came
tell
up to
me,
us.
like, yeah, they had to manage your blood pressure probably for a while afterwards, right?
I had an appointment with an OB that was in my surgery. And she knew just the whole thing,
Your story,
the whole
yeah.
slew of everything that happened. And I want to say it was like a month after that they managed, that they would like check my blood pressure and see how everything's going. And everything seemed to be going down. I had also gotten a blood pressure cuff as well, just so I can manage it on my own. And I was managing that just fine. And yeah, it was a rough, like 5.5, 6 weeks.
Yeah,
being
absolutely.
in the NICU. It was exhausting when I was. Hey, you okay? You all right? Too much? Too much? Okay.
It's a big swallows of milk.
Yes. When I was at home, I would feel kind of depressed in a way. I just felt empty. Like I felt like part of me was missing because I didn't have him with me.
Right.
And part of it was really nice to have him in the NICU because I was able to get some rest. I was able to heal a little bit faster.
Right.
And there are like those things that were kind of nice. But a lot of it was also just really hard. as
Yeah.
well. And
Yeah.
I
That
just,
separation and the logistics of that. And
yes,
yeah.
yes. I think if it was my only kid, it would have been pretty easy, but
Right, you have a whole life at home to
a
take
whole lot
care of.
easier
Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah.
And I had asked some of the nurses at the NICU too, like, if I just happened to fall asleep on the couch, would you guys kick me out? Like, can I just stay here? And they're like, yeah, we can't have you sleeping here. And I was like, okay. I wish.
Yeah. Spend
That
all the
would
time
be,
with him that you can.
yes. And if I have people able to watch the other kids, like, they understand, they know the babies in the hospital, like, they can understand why mom's not here constantly. Just eat, baby.
Yeah. Wow.
Eat. He likes to like bobble and pop up constantly.
Come on and off, on and off.
Yes.
Yes. Wow.
But yeah, it was just really rough. It was hard. And my parents came up again for Christmas. Ow.
He was probably
and
still in the NICU at
he
Christmas,
was
right?
still in the NICU. He didn't get
Yeah.
out until the new year.
Wow.
Which was also kind of trying and a little bit hard because we had him on one insurance, and then we were like, is it going to be a whole nother deductible
right.
for the
Another
next
year.
because he's still there, or does it count as all one? I
Right.
don't even know still. Honestly, I don't know. Because he was there longer than 30 days, I guess we qualified for the emergency Medicaid or something, and
Oh,
so
good.
we are very grateful it got written off, and
Yeah. Good.
that was a huge blessing because
Yeah.
it was a $500,000 bill.
Wow. Yeah. $500,000. Wow. Wow.
And
That's why for
we're like,
your
wow.
emergency C-section, his stay, like
That's just his stay.
just him.
Just
Wow.
him. I was
Wow.
another 7,000 on top of it.
Oh my goodness.
Maybe
Wow.
8,000 with the anesthesia, but
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
it was definitely crazy.
Yeah.
And it was hard because he just wouldn't gain weight. Some days he would gain a whole bunch, and then the next he wouldn't gain anything. And he never lost weight, but
But a slow gainer.
it was a very slow process to get him to just gain enough. And that has continued. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's
That's
continued.
his journey right now.
Yes, he's 5 months now, and he's still in 0 to 3 month close.
Wow. He's just a little guy right now.
He's just little.
Wow. Wow. Wow, Kimberlee. Well, thanks so much for sharing your story. This is
You're
remarkable. Like what a journey with some unexpected twists and turns in it.
It was. Honestly, the hospital I went to was the only thing that like made it okay.
That was a bright
And
spot
not
for you.
horrible. Yes.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Wow. And your story continues, right? Like this,
It does.
it's something
It
that's
does.
changed your family. So,
Yes.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We honestly, we thought like, the hospital like knows the best, and like even with like his formulas, like he was on the one the hospital recommends, the Similac NeoSure, because it's got extra calories and stuff.
Right. They give that to preemies. Yeah.
They give it to preemies to help him gain weight, and he wasn't gaining on it. And I must not have enough fat in my milk, so he wasn't really gaining much there either. And the do you want me to talk about all of that
Yeah.
too?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We had him on the NeoSure till he was almost 4 months, so like 3.5 months old or so. And so it was about 2 months out of being in the NICU that we had him on it. And my husband had done some of his own research of what fats can we feed to him to help him gain more weight. and help him just start gaining enough that the pediatrician wouldn't be so worried anymore. And in the more organic formulas, they use coconut oil. So he did some research. Have there been studies done on that? Because we can't feed him butter yet because he doesn't have bile to break it down. So we're like, well, what can he break down? And so we started putting some coconut oil in his bottles. And he started gaining weight. He went from preemie clothes to all of a sudden he was in newborn clothes, and like he started gaining really good. He gained a good couple of pounds. And then he started going a little bit stagnant. And our pediatrician had us go see a gastrointestinal doctor to try to, like a specialist, to see what would help him gain weight. And the gastrointestinal doctor said, "Oh, you're doing coconut oil? That's basically the exact same thing that I would be prescribing for you. It's just a man-made version versus the natural version.
Interesting.
You're doing the natural version already. Just make sure it's a high-quality one." And I said, "Oh, we do the like organic one from Costco, and it's like the big tub." And he goes, "Oh, Costco's great. Costco has high-quality stuff most of the time." He said, "I wouldn't worry about that. Do that and just keep doing that." And I said, "Okay." So we did that, and we continued doing that until he was about almost 4 months. It was probably like a week before he turned 4 months old. And I had been out and about, and I had noticed that he just wasn't gaining very much anymore. And he kind of went stagnant for a little bit. And I was at Walmart just doing some grocery shopping, and he was really hungry, and I didn't have any more formula on me or a bottle either. They had happened to got dirty and they weren't in my bag anymore. So I went down the baby aisle, and one of my friends had told me about By Heart formula and how much she loved it. She was like, "It's pricey, but I love it. It's really great, and the babies love it, and it's a little easier on their tummies." And so I went and just checked out to see if Walmart had it, and they had it. And so I was like, well, we'll just try this one and see how he does. We'll buy one can. And I also had bought in some of the NeoSure as well, like a little can of it to just keep in my bag. So I had some in case the By Heart, he didn't like it or something like that. And so we went out to the car, and I opened it, and dang, with those formulas, by the way, that can, you want to open that outside every time. It explodes. Every time.
Wow.
Every time it explodes. It went all over the car. But I gave him one bottle of that, and immediately after, he smiled so big at me. And before this, he wasn't smiling. He wasn't looking at us in the eyes. He wasn't trying to talk or coo or really try to sit up or anything.
Wow.
He hated tummy time. And immediately after feeding him the bottle, he looked up at me and smiled so big.
Wow.
And he started trying to coo. And I was like, whoa, that was just one bottle. It shouldn't like take that much of a drastic change, should it? So I decided, well, that was a really great experience.
Good result.
Let's just keep feeding it to him for the rest of the day. And so I did, and he was so happy. I tried tummy time with him, and he enjoyed it. He didn't like scream the whole time. And he was just a completely different baby. Like, honestly, it was like he was autistic before, and then he was just like a normal baby.
So immediate changes.
Immediate changes. Wow. It was so drastic. It was crazy. I was like, it's probably just a fluke. And I talked to Austin too. I'm like, is it possible that it's like actually
that
the formula, or it's maybe a faster flowing bottle, or like what was the difference? We tried it in his other bottles as well, and the same results. Like he was still just happier and he slept better. He started sleeping through the night all of a sudden. And I was like, wow, this has made my life so much easier.
Interesting.
I
Yeah.
decided to do a little bit of research into it, and both formulas were part of the 41 powdered formulas that were tested for toxic levels of, or just for levels of, what do they call it? It was detectable levels of heavy metals. And they were all tested for the heavy metals. And the Neosure, the Similac Neosure, had toxic levels. It had come back with toxic levels of arsenic, lead, mercury, and then two other ones. I really don't remember what the names were. They were a little bit harder to say. And
So
then
not just detectable in that, but toxic
not
levels.
just detectable, but toxic levels. And I was like, huh. I've seen studies recently about like heavy metals and how they are linked to autism. And I was like, that seems very valid here as well.
It's tracking.
Yes, it's tracking. It correlates very so like direct. It was crazy. And then the ByHeart formula came back with no detectable levels of any heavy metals at all. And I was like, wow, that's what it was. And I talked with like ChatGPT, like I got very nitty gritty with it. I was like, hey, could it be the heavy metals that were the difference? And it was like, yeah, heavy metals in the formula were probably holding Houston's his little brain
His
back,
development
back, because now he has cognitive functions and he didn't present any cognitive functions before.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's actually 100% true. He didn't have any before. And hi.
And now he does. Oh.
Yeah, he looks at me and he babbles all the time. He's a pretty quiet baby, but
he is so cute.
Now.
Yeah, as babies do.
Hi.
Oh.
And he poops regularly now. He didn't poop regularly before. It was like once a week. And he sleeps through the night now, and he's been on it for a little over a month now, and he's gained weight. He went from, I want to say he was like 8 pounds to now 10 pounds. He gained
good
2 pounds
gains
in a month, which was really great. I can check on it real fast and see, because I know I posted about it.
You're happy about it. Yeah.
Yes. So he was 8 pounds at 4 months old, and now he's 10 pounds.
Wow.
At 5 months old.
Yep, that's good gains in a month.
Yeah, he's doing it. He's getting there. Hi.
Very cool.
But
Kimberlee,
that was the biggest find for us.
So
honestly.
tell me, like, looking back on your story from this pregnancy you weren't quite expecting, your first boy, a home birth you had planned, unexpected NICU, like what big lessons of that overall picture, what big lessons stand out to you?
Oof. Lessons. I don't know. Do your research before you find a doctor, before you pick a doctor or a midwife, because I've heard some people have amazing stories with midwives and they don't have any issues. I would just say find some interview questions and interview doctors and midwives if you want a midwife. Interview them and make sure that they align with your views and make sure that they will do what you want. Like, as picky as that sounds, like make sure that they'll do what you want when it comes to like the delivery and everything. Because you never know. Because I never had any pregnancy symptoms of preeclampsia or the gestational diabetes or anything like that with my other three. It was just with Houston.
Yeah.
And I think I would just interview. I would interview them, make sure that
that's what stands out to me about your story is you had to be an advocate for yourself every step along the way, right?
Yeah.
And in settings you wouldn't think you would have to, even afterwards, right? You were told things by your home birth midwife that you had to advocate for yourself. You were told even the formula that like, so we're looking at conventional and non-conventional medicine. You stepped in both fields here. Like you had a journey on both of those planes and still had to advocate pretty hard for yourself. And I love that, like you said, do your research, right? For yourself, for your baby, because you, at the end of the day, are the one who is in charge of that, right? You're the one who has to
100%.
has to carry your own journey.
I've always been the one to be like, oh, my husband can help advocate for me. I'm a smaller person anyways. A lot of people don't really take me seriously. Like I normally am like, oh, Austin,
like defer to him. Yeah. Yeah.
But he wasn't there for any of the steps that I had to advocate for myself.
Right.
I had to be. And I think the biggest lesson I learned is to trust my instincts, to trust my gut, because it is not gonna lead you astray. Honestly, it's not gonna take you down as long as you're not like too emotional about it. Don't get your emotions stuck in it. But if you have a bad feeling or you have a feeling like something's not right in your pregnancy, go to the hospital.
Follow that. Yeah.
Follow it. Like I had that feeling for weeks, maybe even a couple months before.
And other people were reassuring you, right? They're
and
like,
everyone kept reassuring me,
it's
fine. Even my husband kept reassuring me, oh, you're fine. You're just being emotional. You're just, you're hormonal.
Right.
No, I don't think so. I think you have a strong motherly instinct. So some people want to say it's the spirit, or it's, mother's intuition, or it's just mother instincts, or whatever you want to call it. Follow
it's yours. It's yours. Yeah.
Follow it. Like, it is gonna save you, and it will save your baby too.
Yeah.
Had I not have done that,
it did for you. Yeah.
Yeah, it did. It saved me and it saved my baby.
Yeah. It'd be a very different story now if you hadn't listened.
It would have. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Cool. Kimberlee, thanks for sharing. I know it's been a little bit of a tearful journey, and for both of us today.
Sorry.
So fine. But yeah, I appreciate you being willing to share your story with us, because that's some unexpected twists and turns, and you continue to persevere and keep going, which is amazing. Amazing. Any last things you want to say before we wrap up?
Can't think of anything. Okay. Thank you for having me, though.
Oh, such a pleasure. Thanks for being here. So we're going to wrap it up with the Ordinary Doula podcast and our special guest, Kimberlee, who shared her remarkable story with us. And as always, encourage you to go out and make a unique connection with someone today. Please make a human connection, whether that's online, digital, in person, eye contact, by hand or touch. Please make a connection with another human today. It'll help you and it will help them. Have a great one, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Ordinary Doula podcast with Angie Rozier, hosted by Birth Learning. Episode credits will be in the show notes. Tune in next time as we continue to explore the many aspects of giving birth.